Also, I would like to mention something very, very important. Before we jump into car rigging module and rigging the car, you need to also remember one thing is when you import a car, make sure the way you import the car is to be able to also have Unreal be able to generate your meshes. In other words, you'd be able to generate the skeletal components. In this case, we talk about physics assets. There's an issue which I noticed that when you export something from Blender into Unreal, sometimes Unreal is not picking up the right parts of the mesh, and what it tends to do is to ignore some of the assets, and it's randomly generating the physics assets which are incomplete. So in this case, let's go walk through it together. Just to demonstrate you, when you look at the car that you imported, so let's say I'm going to pick up the car that just use this to import, and if I double click on this, you should see the car physics assets being generated. And that's not something we really want. So as you see, the car key exists here, and that's how you should be getting once you import it, but you can also still fix some collisions. And what I tend to do, I usually select all the wheels and I turn them into spheres. So when you go to the tools panel, which is on the right hand side, then what you need to do is set to sphere and regenerate bodies. So that what's gonna happen now is just going to turn into like spherical shape wheels. The same goes for this, so I tend to go for box. For the root, let's repeat this one, but we're actually going to use sphere. And what I'm gonna do is to place it on the top, because sometimes when you do physics and something relating, in this case, it will be doing with suspensions, which will be physics related by tracing the movement, we're gonna have to make sure that our position of these fixed, as we say, physics assets has to be placed properly. Otherwise, we don't have any issues later with that. So keep that in mind. So that when you get this kind of situation, make sure you resolve that in that sense. Another thing I need to also come back to Blender is when you go into import the car, don't select all of these assets and then export, because I noticed there's some issues with that, and it seems like Unreal's only generating few of these assets instead of generating the entire structure of the assets. So what I tend to do is to click on the root, and once you go to export, make sure you have the right settings, and the settings that I've been using for that of course has been so in this case I've created my own presets, but just so that to remind you once again, and you already know this, is that always keep an eye to apply these information here. So follow up again your the videos I made for the chapter 1 when it comes to exporting Blender models, and of course keep an eye on how you export it. Thank you all, and see you guys in the next lesson.